Hi, I'm James with British Customs. Today we're going to work on this 2023 Thruxton RS. We're going to install exhaust, tail light, turn signals, mirrors, and headlight ears. So we're going to start by taking our exhaust off. You need your 6mm Allen and a 12mm wrench or socket. Loosen that up. Down here we have a 10mm hex into a clamping. Just got to loosen that. And we can take this off. And we just pull the screw out. Give it a little turn there. Pull it out. So for exhaust, we're going to install our Predator carbon, and these instructions will apply to any other slip-on we have for this model. I'm going to start by installing a rubber bushing. So now we'll install our spacer from the inside here. Get our clamp on the end. We have to loosen it up a little bit. It's a 5mm Allen. Slide it on. You want to get your other spacer, put it on the inside here. The bolt to hold it up. Slide it in. Just make sure when you put this clamp on that this Allen is going to face outwards. Otherwise you're going to have to try and tighten it from the inside and it's not going to look nice. You want to kind of set it right about there where it looks good. Push that through. Get the nut that we removed before, put it back on. Get our 12mm. Our 6mm Allen, tighten it up. So you want to make sure you tighten the back first before tightening this clamp, because if you tighten the clamp first, then this might be out of alignment. So tighten there first, and then we come down and tighten this. You want to set it so that the edge of this band is flush with the edge of the pipe. You don't have to make these crazy tight. You just want to make sure it takes any movement out of there. So we're going to repeat the same thing for the other side, and these instructions apply for any other slip-on we have for the RS. Just want to make sure before you fire the bike up that you clean the pipe off and make sure you don't have any fingerprints, because once it gets hot, it will burn those fingerprints into the pipe. So use some rubbing alcohol on a rag, just clean it up. So at this point, if you want to install our turn signals with your stock taillight, we don't sell a kit that's plug and play to extend the wiring all the way up to here with the stock taillight. So that's something you'll have to figure out on your own or have a professional shop do it. You got to remove the seat. All right, we want to start by unplugging our taillight and turn signals. Then we want to take these two screws out. It's a T30. unwind that. Just pull that forward. We want to take these two screws out from the bottom. It's an 8mm hex head. Now we want to remove these 4 screws. Again, 8mm hex. Just make sure you're supporting your fender before you take the screws all the way out. And if you've got all 4 screws out and these 2 screws out, it should come down. If it doesn't, you may just got to wiggle it around a little bit, like these wires might be wedged up in here a little bit. So just wiggle it a little bit and it'll come down. So now we're going to install our rear turn signals using our Shockmount bracket and our universal adapter. We're going to first install the Motogadget Mo.Blaze, and then we're going to finish off with the analogs. So we want to start off with our screw. We're going to put our lock washer on. We're going to put the large fender washer on. And then we're going to put it through the bracket and put our star washer in here. I'm going to put a little blue Loctite on. Start threading it in. Now using our 5mm Allen, snug it up. I don't want to make it all the way tight just yet until I get the turn signal on. So now we're going to do the same process on this side. Screw, lock washer, flat washer, bracket, star washer. A little blue Loctite. Now using our 5mm, snug it up. So now what we want to do is we just want to make sure that both brackets are set evenly, that they're going to allow room right here for the turn signal to get installed. And now we can tighten them down. The reason why we put the star washer in between there is so once we start tightening it up, it'll keep it in place and it won't start falling from vibrations or anything. So for this step, we're going to install our Fender Eliminator Kit with our red cat eye taillight. All right, we're going to start by putting the taillight on. I'm going to take the nuts off of the screws here on the back. We're going to reuse them, so make sure you save them. And install the taillight. We want to make sure that the light for the license plate is aimed down to the bottom, so it'll light your license plate up. Put the washers and nuts back on. Using a 6mm deep socket or an open-end wrench, I'm going to tighten these up. They don't have to be crazy tight, they're really small. So now we're going to install our Adele clamp. You may need to spread it apart a little bit to get it over the wire. And you want to position it so it ends up to the outside of this hole here and in line with this hole. This is just going to keep it up so it's not flopping around after it's installed. Push the wire through our rubber bushing there. So now we're going to install our rubber gasketing here. It helps to just clean this off with some rubbing alcohol and make sure it sticks real nice. You have a short one and a long one. I'm going to use the short one over here because we don't want to cover this hole where the seat cable comes through. So I'm just going to clean that off. And let it dry. It'll dry real quick. Peel that red off. Start right above this hole. And just push it down. Same thing with the other one. This one will just start up here so it's even. All right, so now with everything installed, you should have your P-clamp installed, the Adele clamp, with the wire coming through there, and have your gaskets installed, taillights installed. The purpose of these gaskets is to seal off the edges so when dirt's coming off of the tire, it's not shooting up into here and getting all over your electrical parts. So now we want to take this screw out that holds the seat lock on it. It's a T30. Okay. So now we're going to install Fender Eliminator using 2 screws and 2 washers from the kit. I'm going to put some blue Loctite on the screws. And we're going to just start them without tightening yet. So you want to make sure when you're doing this that this is coming through the hole there. It's going to get mounted back up here, so have it off to the side, not on top. Now you want to push on this so it's going as forward as far as it can, and guide the screws from the top through the bracket so that they're all sticking out of there. I'm going to take one nut from the kit and temporarily install it up here just to keep it up. Just has to be finger tight. That's it. So while you're going to put this up here, this piece needs to be aiming downwards. And you may have to push up on the eliminator. So the alignment pin should go into that hole there. And then that screw hole should line up. You want to put a little blue Loctite on your screw and put it back in. Make sure you're holding it nice and flush while you're tightening it. And that the alignment pin is lined up. With your T30. So now you want to take that nut that we installed off and hold that pan up. And we want to put our box on. This little notch here lines up with the notch in the cable. You want to slide that over. And then we want to line up the holes in the screws. And you may have to pull on it, on the cable, a little bit to get that. To get one lined up, I'm just going to temporarily install this nut just to hold it. So now that I got that holding up there, I can get a little more leverage and get the other screws through. This cable does pull pretty tight on here until it's all installed. So now that I got all 4 screws through, I want to put a nut and washer on these 2 forward ones here. Nut and washer on this one. And what I'm going to do now is I want to snug up the front ones and these 2, and then we'll go back to these ones here. So using your 5mm Allen, you want to tighten these 2 screws, which will help pull everything in the back into alignment. So now I can take this nut back off so we can install the washer. And now we can put the Adele clamp up here. Should be in the furthest back to the right is where that should end up. Help keep your wire nice and tidy. Get the washer up there. Nut. Helps to turn the screw from the top. Okay, using our 10mm socket on the bottom, 8mm on top. Tighten it up. If you have your P-clamp moving and you want it to stop, then just tighten from the top. So now we're going to install a license plate. Goes over these 2 screws here. You got a nut and washer. Put the other one on. Using our 8mm socket, tighten them up. So now we want to attach our harness. First we want to slide the shrink tubing over. And we're going to plug it in here, slide it back over so it goes over both of them. So now we can reinstall the ECM. Using the screws and flat washers we removed earlier. using our T30. Now we can plug this in. Now we're ready to install our turn signals. So we're going to start by taking this nut off of here. We don't need that for this application. I'm going to slide the wire through the Mo.Blaze adapter. And what this adapter does is it allows the light to stick out a little bit further, and it could also be filling the gap in some stop applications where there's a bigger hole there. This will cover it up, make it look a little neater. So now you want to take the set screw using your 2mm Allen wrench. I'm going to put it in there. And it's going to face this way as far as orientation goes on these. If you look, you probably won't see it in the video, but there is this light mark on there. It's a little E. I like to personally put that towards the back because it really doesn't matter. They work either way. I just like them to be uniform, so I'll do both of them the same way. Just snug that up. Now we want to pull the wire. Then we're going to use the shortest screw from the kit and put a little blue Loctite on. I'm going to put this screw in here. Now using our 5mm Allen, we can tighten that up. Just want to make sure that the wire is coming centered in the hole and that this is all nice and centered on the bracket. And then we'll do the same for the other side. So on this side, just for demonstration purposes, we're going to install it without the Mo.Blaze adapter so you can see how it looks either way and choose what you like the best. You know? So again, we want to just start by taking this nut off. We're going to run the wire through the back hole. Again, I like to take that little E mark that's on there and put it towards the back here. There's also an arrow on this side. You very faintly see them, but I guess the main thing is make sure they're both the same. Then we're going to put the nut back on. Now using the 13mm wrench, I'm going to tighten that. And this is another thing that using the bracket, the Mo.Blaze adapter makes it easier because you can't, it's really hard to hold this and tighten this nut. I have a pair of pliers that I use sometimes that are rubber coated that I can hold it. But you know, it doesn't have to be crazy tight either. It's a tiny little piece. So it's a little hard on the right side because the way the harnesses run to see where you got to route the wires. So if you just put a flat blade screwdriver in there and just press nice and easy, and then you'll see where it comes through on the bottom And you can use that as a guide to start pushing your wires up through that spot. There they are. So now I'm going to route my wires back through this way. And pull them up through this side. Okay. So now we just want to route the wire around the ECM. Come right under there. We want to end up so like right about there so we can plug in. So we want to route it right here. You don't want to make it too tight. So you want to have some sort of availability to move things around. So keep a little loop there, and we want to plug right into there. So I'm going to cut. Got to figure, we got our harness right here. It's going to go there. So I'm going to cut it right about here. Now we'll strip a little wire back. So what we want to do now is get our splicers. I'm going to unscrew one end of it. And you want to get the wire installed. It helps on these ones, the thicker gauge wire. Just give it a little twisting as you're going on. Makes it a little bit easier. You want to get it so you got some wire sticking right out to the end there. And then we're going to screw it back onto the splicer. Now we're going to run these ones on. And this you want to run the red one to the white wire and the black one to the black wire. These being a lot smaller gauge are a lot easier to get through. And you want to give them a tug, make sure they're nice and tight. To the next one. Sure it's tight. For this one, I'm going to plug into the green side. I'm going to put the white onto the blue one and the black on the black. Now we're just going to test it out quick. Okay, turn that on. Put on my right turn signal. And we get the right flashing. So now I know I can move on to the other one. If this didn't flash and then I had to turn on the left and it did flash, then I would just move these over to the other side. Now we're going to route the left side through. You want to come up right next to the cable for the seat. I'm going to route, we want to stay to the outside of the cable here. And just come right on up there. Okay, now we route it under the ECM there. Come right next to this one here. Figure we'll clip it right about there. So now we need to trim this back. One thing you want to keep in mind if you're doing this job by yourself, you have to have quality tools to strip this wire. This is very thin gauge wire, real easy to just nick the insulation on there and cause a short. If you don't have these tools, you either want to get somebody that does to do the job, somebody that knows how to use them. The other thing you could do is to just not cut the wire back, and you could keep the coil of wire as long as it is and probably just tuck it back here and just keep it long, rather than trying to take a chance at cutting the wire and ruining an expensive light. See, there's a demonstration of going too tight on it, and then it just sheared that. So now I'm gonna do it again, do it right. Okay. Now we just want to verify that everything's working. Right turn signal, left turn signal, and we're good. Let's see the brake light. Brake light. So now we're going to install the analog style. Comes with a plug and play ready to go, much easier to install. Okay, so now just need to run one at a time through the back hole here. And take the screw, the lock washer and the flat washer from the kit. I'm going to run those through the back hole using our 4mm Allen. Tighten it up. And we want to route the wires to the outside here. And we'll pull them up through here. Run it down there. We're going to plug in to the red side, white to white, black to black. Do the same on the other side. So I'm going to put one at a time through there in the front hole. We're going to get our screw, get it in the back here. Using our 4mm Allen, going to tighten it. sure your wire stays centered in the hole. We're going to route the wires, and we'll pull them out through here. Okay, using our T30, we'll pull these screws out. So now we can pull the wire up through here. Make sure you don't pull it too tight and damage it at the light. You can come up under there. I'm going to plug in. Black to the black, and the blue to the white. We'll put these screws back in. A T30. Test them out. Got left, got right, brakes, good. All right, you got these two hooks on the bottom. They got to go through these two holes here. That's it. So now for the front turn signals, we're going to start off installing the Mo.Blaze with the Mo.Blaze adapter on one side. We'll do the other side without so you can see what they look like. So we're going to start by taking the headlight out. Use our 5mm Allen. And remove the one from the other side. Plug the headlight. So this little plug is a little difficult to get out at times. It helps if you got a little screwdriver to push down on that tab and unlock it right there. And we're going to take these two screws out. They're a T20 Torx bit. Find our turn signal wiring right here. Unplug that. Pull the wires out that way. Pull those wires out that way. So now we want to take this screw out right here. Use our 5mm Allen. Do the same thing on this side. First, we're going to install the Mo.Blaze with the Mo.Blaze adapter. So you want to just pull it in through here. Got a little set screw in there. Use your 2mm Allen. Loosen it up so we can get in there. Now, it doesn't show up on camera, but there is a little mark on one side of this where there's an E right there. So I like to put that E to the back side of the light and then tighten. Now we'll pull the wires through the front hole. I'm going to use the shortest screw from the kit through the back hole. Screw it in. And using our 5mm Allen, tighten it up. We'll make sure that these wires are staying centered in the hole so that you don't bust the wires. On this side, we're going to install it without the adapter. Just pull the wires through the front hole. Pull it through. Nut. $13mm wrench. Tighten that down. So, two main differences between these two. Obviously, it sticks out further when you use the adapter on here, so there's more visibility for that turn signal. The other thing is, on this one without the adapter, you have an exposed hole on the back side here. So you get a more tucked in look, but you also have this hole that you may want to fill with something, or you can live with it. So now you just want to route your wires back up into the headlight. It's the right side. The left side. So now we need to trim this back. One thing you want to keep in mind if you're doing this job by yourself, you have to have quality tools to strip this wire. This is very thin gauge wire, real easy to just nick the insulation on there and cause a short. If you don't have these tools, you either want to get somebody that does to do the job, somebody that knows how to use them. The other thing you could do is to just not cut the wire back, and you could keep the coil of wire as long as it is and probably just tuck it back here and just keep it long, rather than trying to take a chance at cutting the wire and ruining an expensive light. See, there's a demonstration of going too tight on it, and then it just sheared that. So now I'm going to do it again, do it right. Okay. So now using our universal adapter, turn that wire so we get some wires sticking out the other side there. And we can screw it on there. Okay. Unscrew the other side. Pull those wires through. Go black to black. Go red to the white. Now with the right one, we're going to plug into the red on the harness. I'm going to go with the green and white to the white wire and the black to the black wire. And we'll do the same on the other side. Run the wire through, go black to black. Red to white. Put the green and red wire to the white and the black wire to the black. Now we'll just try it out. Okay, so at this point we want to test the lights and make sure that everything's working right. I'm going to do my left turn signal. I got left. Do my right. I got right. Okay, so at this point I would button up the headlight, but I'm not going to do that just yet because we have another set of lights that we want to demonstrate on here, and then we'll show you how to button the headlight back up again. So now we're going to install the analog turn signals on. And these are plug and play style, no splices. Put one through at a time. Through the front hole. Then we want to use our lock washer and the wide fender washer that comes in the kit. Now with our 4mm Allen, tighten that screw. Make sure your wires stay centered in the hole, that they're not getting pinched. And you can route them back through the headlight. So now, route them up through the headlight, the back. And if you can get it, it was originally through this little rubber piece here. So it doesn't absolutely have to be in there, but if you can get it in there. So you can see I got it through that rubber, which is where it originally was. And now we want to plug the side without the red tape. I'm going to plug the black into the black and the green and red to the white. Now we'll do the other side. So again, I want to route one at a time through the front hole. We'll get our screw with our lock washer and our fender washer. Our 4mm Allen. Yep. Make sure your wires stay centered in the hole. Now, wires that through. So now again, if you can get the wires through that rubber to help secure them, that'd be great. And now, this one goes on the one with the red tape. And you're going to go black to black. And then the green and white goes to the white. Once again, we'll test this right before we button up the light. So you just want to make sure all these wires are tucked in over here. Yep. Got some right here. Show what. Okay. Yeah. Let me get our 2 screws started. So now T20. So it's our left turn signal and our right turn signal. And we're good. So now we can button up the headlight. We can plug our headlight back in. Start with the little wire. Plugged in right there. Make sure you hear it click like that. Plug in the headlight wire. So now you have a little tab on the top of the headlight here. There's a little tab in there that you want to lock into. So you want to come in on an angle like so, and get it up underneath that tab. And then you can push the bottom in and reinstall the screws. Don't tighten down the screws until you have them both installed. Using your 5mm Allen, tighten that one up. Same thing on the other side. So now we're going to install our headlight ears. We're going to start by removing these 2 12mm screws from the headlight. Okay. So now we got better access to the 2 nuts on the top here. So we can use our 12mm wrench, a 6mm Allen. You have a nut and washer back there. Make sure you don't lose the washer. So now we're going to put the bracket on. Put a little bit of blue Loctite on there. And we'll put the top one on. A little blue Loctite. Don't forget the washer that was there. Put the nut back on. Your 12mm wrench, 6mm Allen. Yep. Do the same on the other side. A little blue Loctite. $6mm Allen. Blue Loctite. Washer. And the nut. $12mm wrench. 6mm Allen. So now using the 2 screws that come in the kit, we put a small amount of blue Loctite on there. Using our 5mm Allen. We want to get the headlight in place. the screw. Let's do the same on the other side, and then we'll tighten them up. So you want to make these tight enough to hold it steady, but you still might want to have to move it a little bit. But you don't want to have to be able to move it too much. If you have to move it a lot, then you want to have to loosen it up again. Check your owner's manual. It'll show you how to align this headlight. So now we're going to install some Motogadget mirrors. We're going to start by removing the end cap. Use our 4mm Allen. And with our 5mm Allen, we can loosen the clamp load of the mirror and pull it off. You're going to pull off the plastic end piece. You're going to install this brass piece here and then put the mirror over it. Using our 4mm Allen, I'll snug it up and we can position it better. So from here, you can position this any way you want. You could have this screw on this side if you want. You can have this on the bottom, on the top, have it coming out to the outside, whatever you like. This works either way. So now we can install the end cap back on. So what you notice here is we got a gap between the mirror and the end cap. One way to fix that, we can loosen up the mirror and we pull it all towards the end cap and close it off there. But now we have a big gap between the mirror and the grip. So we got another solution for this. I'm going to move this back in towards the grip. Take the end cap off, make it easier. So now we have an end cap. Instead of being flat against here, it's got a recess. So now it'll fit over there and close up that gap. So now using the shortest screw in the kit, we can install our end cap using our 4mm Allen bit. Now we can loosen this mirror up just a little bit. Kind of split the difference between the grip and the spacer, the end cap. And it's much neater now. So now we're going to do the same thing here. Start by removing the end cap, 4mm Allen. And then our 5mm Allen. Pull off plastic end cap. Let's now put the mirror on. Get it close where we want it. So now, when we put the end cap on this one, we want to use the second longest screw or shortest screw. And we want to use the other spacer that comes in the kit because we need to keep this mirror away from the grip, otherwise your throttle will get stuck. So in order to do that, we had to add a little bit of space to pull it away. So tighten that up, and now I can loosen this. Try and split the difference between the two. So you still have a little bit of a gap, but it's much cleaner than it was with the other end cap. That's it. So that's it for our Thruxton RS build. We think it looks a little more streamlined now. Let us know what you think in the comments. One thing before we start this up, you want to make sure that your pipe is clean before you start it up. You don't want any fingerprints burning in there. So thanks for watching.